So, you are saying to yourself, well, I don't have anxiety. I don't really deal with that on an everyday basis. And I just watched these last 2 episodes about anxiety, and while I find it interesting, it really doesn't pertain to me. Okay, I can understand that. Not everybody deals with it. But you most likely have someone in your life that does go through something like that. It may be a sister, brother, a friend, a spouse, or a significant other, even an acquaintance or a coworker you might know. But I guarantee you have at least one person in your life in one way or another that does go through anxiety in a very real way. Well, in this final episode, we're going to talk about how to be more effective support to someone who does deal with the anxiety condition. And by the way, anxiety is very real with this laundry, just saying. Cue the music. Girl inside my head, I get lost in it from time to time. No one has a spare key, only one is inside of me. Hey guys, welcome back to my Empowerment Through Anxiety mini-series. Today's episode is going to be a little more casual, like we're having a coffee chat. But I did want to wrap up the series with a very, very important episode that I think a lot of people tend to overlook when talking about anxiety and the whole topic. Being a person who goes through anxiety and deals with it almost on an everyday basis, there are so many things that really, really help me get through it. We already discussed the physical and the mental aspects of it. And when we allow anxiety to overtake us, which unfortunately is a very human thing to do, it really, really can get out of hand. And I did not start with this wisdom. I really gave into it a lot of times in my life and still have the occasional time I do. However, I have noticed that more and more anxiety is cropping up in this world, and it's sad because it seems like fear is the culprit of that. Fear seems to be a very huge driving force for a lot of people right now and keeps them in chains of anxiety. And sometimes it's not knowing what to do. Sometimes it's not having that support. Other times it's just out of sheer laziness. And I'm not blaming anybody for having anxiety. I don't really think it's anything you can help. It just happens. However, there is a point where we either decide to live our lives as fully as we can despite having this condition and basically integrate it, or we just allow ourselves to lay down and not live our lives at all. I do not choose to lay down for anything. And I had been doing a lot of thinking where I think it's really important for people with anxiety to know that they're not alone. That was a very, very important thing to me. Even though I can be very comfortable in my own company, very comfortable in solitude, I always feel like I can really get through things easier when I have someone that I can talk to. And in my last episode, I addressed that a little bit. I have my best friend that I talk to. Sometimes it's, I know it sounds funny, but you've seen Timmy, my cat, in my videos. Sometimes it's just having his company. And it's actually been known that if you have a pet, it really can reduce stress. It can reduce anxiety, and that can be cats, dogs, pretty much any kind of pet that you bond with. And Timmy has been with me through thick and thin. He's about 6 to 7 years old now, and he keeps me running. He keeps me sometimes, but I wouldn't trade him for the world. And sometimes just cuddling at night when going to sleep, when I'm really stressed or anxious, and having him cuddle up with me and purr, that's all the comfort I need. Sometimes that seems to cure everything for that day. So it's the little things too. We don't always have to take huge leaps and bounds to power through the anxiety. It's just a matter of being more mindful about it and not letting it take our power away, because we all have an inner light that we need to cultivate and bring out in the world, because goodness knows the world needs it. But today I'm going to be addressing more of how you can be more of a support to someone who is going through anxiety. You may not have to deal with it in your own personal self. Maybe you have tips and tricks and tools to manage your stress effectively so you don't encounter anxiety yourself. But like I said in the intro, most likely you do have someone in your life that does go through this, and it's a very real thing. And I think the number one thing I do want to stress is never ever diminish that person's feelings when they're going through anxiety attack. Don't say that it's in their head or to get over it, because it's not something you just get over. It may be very quick. I know I've had some anxiety issues and I've work through it really quickly. Sometimes it ruins my whole day. And partly it's because I allow it to, and partly it's just a real thing. I'm human. And sometimes you just need to give yourself grace and allow yourself to process and just be. That's the saying my mom used to tell me, and it always stuck with me too. No matter how bad one day gets, there's always a brighter tomorrow. So, but when you are trying to be supportive to someone, have an open heart, have an open mind, and have an open ear. They may want to talk about it, they may not. People will respond in different ways. I'm kind of both. Sometimes I don't want to burden people with my anxiety. I'm much more vocal about my anxiety now, but in the past, I was like, no, I don't want to burden other people because they have their own issues and their own problems, and they don't need my baggage. And granted, nobody should be dumping on anybody 24 hours a day. And, I mean, there is a balance, of course, on both parties. However, it is okay to share your stress and your anxiety with someone that maybe can give you a different perspective, or maybe you can just not really say anything at all. Just listen and just be there for them and say, I'm here for you. How can I help? And sometimes just saying those words makes all the difference to that person. Just knowing that they have that support sometimes is enough. It's always really good to move forward after the anxiety attack has happened. Unless that person does want to talk about it, that's totally different. But most people, like myself, kind of want to move forward and take our minds off of whatever stressed us out to that point. Sometimes just having that person there or talking it out for that time period really helped. And that's all you need. So the more you keep asking, oh, are you okay? Are you okay? Well, first of all, that gets really annoying, and that anybody would feel that way. But also, it sometimes re-triggers that anxiety. So it's always really good to make sure that, their needs are taken care of, but also know when it's time to move forward. And when you really know that person, most likely you kind of have an idea as to what that line is. I've noticed that because, as all of you will be very shocked to hear, I am a talker. I like to communicate. That's the Gemini in me, and that's just who I am. However, when I am going through anxiety attack, I will talk. I will kind of ramble a little, but then once I'm done, I'm done. I just want to, not give it any more power and just move forward and usually partake in something that brings me joy, whether it's a pleasant conversation or doing my work or watching a show or reading a book or even getting out in nature. Sometimes just getting out in the vitamin D really helps me. And fortunately, the way my best friend and I know each other, we usually kind of know when, okay, let's move forward. We're both good communicators, so that really helps. But sometimes we know there's really not much more we can say, just kind of be there for each other, even for silence. Just the comfort of each other's company is enough. When you're trying to support someone who has anxiety, you might not totally understand what they're going through. There's no way you can say, oh, I totally understand what you feel, because you don't. Really, nobody knows how another person feels, because that individual is unique, and what they feel is not like anybody else can feel. And I've learned that myself. Even with people I'm relating to that I'm trying to support through anxiety, they may be having a moment and I say, I used to say, I totally get what you're saying and what you're feeling. And I had to stop myself because I realized, no, I don't know what they're feeling. I might be able to empathize because I go through similar situations, but I'll never fully understand. But what I can do is be empathetic, be there for them, and show a little compassion, and not try to rush them through it. Everybody has their own time, their own space that they need to be in to power through it. And this is probably one of the most important things to remember. Please don't lose hope. Just because somebody's going through a really tough period, whether it was triggered by a traumatic event or by stress or just feeling really stuck in life, don't lose hope that they will get through it. There are differences to detect if it gets very heavy and unrelenting. Sometimes that's a good time for that person to see someone professional, or maybe take themselves out of that environment that's dragging them down. I've had a couple little things that keep triggering me, especially lately. And I'm making some changes in my life because I know that environment is not going to change. So I have to make the change. And I've noticed ever since I made that choice to do that, even though I haven't fully done it yet, my anxiety has gone down quite a bit. Once you decide to make a change, that can be empowering in itself. Now, that shouldn't stop you from actually doing the change, but just taking that first step and knowing in a way that you are taking your power back, it makes such a difference. Don't ever lose hope. If you love that person or believe in them, and they're an important part of your lives, act like it. Show that support. Show that you believe in them. Don't rush them. But also offer help when you think they might need a little extra hand. There's no real foolproof way of helping someone through anxiety. Everybody's different. But those are a couple of things that I've learned. Being one with anxiety, but also supporting my other friends who go through it. And I think really when it comes down to it is just knowing that nothing is wrong with you if you have anxiety, and nothing's wrong with you if you don't. We all react in different ways. It's just a matter of not letting it defeat us. You are more than your anxiety. Yes, anxiety is a part of your life. It may be something that will never fully go away, but that is not the definition of who you are. It's just a part of what you're going through. I really didn't have a whole lot more to say, but I did want to suggest those little things. It's really, really imperative right now that we help one another. We approach each other with more understanding and love. If we continue to work on ourselves, work on things like anxiety or understanding, and step out of that fear, let go of the fear. You can make that decision in the blink of an eye. And once you make that decision and no longer give into it, things will start getting better for you. And it doesn't matter what's going on out in the world. It all matters what's going on within. And your outer reality will reflect that. So anyway, I hope you guys got something out of this mini series. I appreciate you watching and supporting me on this channel. I love you guys, and I'm going to see you tomorrow, October 1st. We're all excited to start the new month and start a new phase in our lives. And until the next time, to know thyself is to know thy truth. Namaste. Cue in the garbage truck. Yeah, buddy. Even in my anxiety videos, I have things that cause me anxiety. No. Oh my God. We're going to have blooper time at the end. Ooh, 2 of them. Yeah, buddy.